In today's video, I am going to explain anatomy and function of triceps brachii. You see part of triceps brachii. You are looking upper part of the muscle. I am going to explain its origin first. As name of this muscle suggests, there are three parts, three fibers in triceps brachii. I'm gonna explain this part first. This part is called long head. Long head. Okay, origin of long head is different from other two fibers. This part attaches to scapula. This part is infraglenoid tubercle. Infraglenoid tubercle. Okay, this is important thing to know. Other two fibers, you see this part, this is lateral part. Lateral part, and deep to lateral part and long head, there is medial part. Lateral head, lateral part, or medial part. Okay, however you want to call it. Lateral head and medial head originate from humerus, posterior part of humerus. That is difference among long head and lateral head, medial head. Again, long head attaches to scapula, infraglenoid tubercle. Other two fibers, other two heads attach to humerus. That is why there is obvious difference between three parts. Long head can move shoulder joint, and other two parts only move elbow joint. I will talk about its function later. But before I jump into function, let me explain its insertion. Insertion is simple. This part, this bony bump on elbow, this is part of ulna. This is olecranon process. Olecranon process, this is indeed elbow part, the bony bump on elbow. That is it. Simple, right? Insertion, olecranon process. Origin, long head originates from infraglenoid tubercle. Other two fibers, other two heads originate from posterior humerus. Simple, right? Then, let me explain its function. Main function of triceps brachii is elbow extension. That is very strong elbow extensor. Do you remember origin of long head? It attaches to scapula. Thus, long head can move shoulder joint. This is very important. Long head does two functions. First function is shoulder extension. I was talking about elbow extension. Plus, long head can do shoulder extension as well. Okay, one more function of long head. Because of orientation of long head, it's slightly diagonal, correct? It's not vertical, it's slightly diagonal. Because of this orientation, long head can do shoulder adduction. It's very slight, it's not strong shoulder adductor. However, it can do adduction. Long head function is shoulder extension and shoulder adduction. It's very important to know. From my clinical experience, when people have tight shoulder movement, their triceps tends to be very, very tight. Of course, other shoulder muscles can be tight as well. However, I believe triceps is kind of ignored muscle for shoulder function, yet very, very important muscle. Well, this is origin, insertion, and function. Now let me talk about relationship between triceps brachii and nervous tissue. You're looking shoulder joint from posterior view. This is long head. This is lateral head. Okay, this is long head triceps brachii. You see tiny space here. This space is very important. This rectangular space is called quadrilateral space. quadrilateral space, rectangular shape, rectangular space. Part of triceps brachii composes this quadrilateral space. Before I jump into importance of this space, let me explain its composition. Okay, number one is of course triceps, long head. Next one is here, this one. This is teres minor. Teres minor. What about this one? This is teres major. Okay, these three muscles. And last one is actually bony structure. That is medial part of humerus. Alright, long head triceps, teres minor, teres major, humerus. These four structures are composition of quadrilateral space. Then, what nervous tissue penetrates this quadrilateral space? What is this nervous tissue? This is axillary nerve. Axillary nerve. This nerve is freaking important for posterior shoulder joint. When axillary nerve got impingement, there can be shoulder dysfunction, particularly on posterior part. Now, what if these muscles get tight, or somebody has humerus neck fracture or shoulder dislocation? This injury can aggravate quadrilateral space. If quadrilateral space is aggravated, that can aggravate axillary nerve. In result, shoulder dysfunction can be triggered. That is why this part is very important. Quadrilateral space is very tiny space, however, very important space. Now, at last, I'm gonna explain triceps brachii and radial nerve relationship. Okay, quadrilateral space was about relationship with axillary nerve, right? Next part is radial nerve. Radial nerve is here, this one. This is radial nerve. Radial nerve goes to all the way up to thumb side. It is very long nerve. Now, this is long head of triceps. This is lateral head. Here is how I palpate radial nerve, this space. One criteria is midline of triceps. Okay, this is medial part, this is lateral part. You follow midline of triceps. You go up, you go up, you go up, you go up. You are still on muscle tissue, muscle fiber, right? Then you suddenly feel gap here. You feel space here. Then you palpate, you push around this empty space. Somebody feels very tender, very sharpy pain sensation around here. Now you are on radial nerve. Once again, you find midline of triceps brachii. You push, you palpate, you palpate, you palpate. You are still on muscle fiber, muscle tissue. Suddenly, you reach to space, you reach to gap. Once you reach to this gap, you kind of push a little bit stronger. You don't stop there, but you just push there. When somebody feels pain, when somebody feels sharpy sensation, most likely you are on radial nerve. Here is how I palpate radial nerve to do neural manipulation. I believe this is very good way to palpate radial nerve. Now, once you palpate this triangular space, triangular gap, now you still go up. You are on what? Teres major. Now you go over teres major, then if you feel gap, there is quadrilateral space. What is there? There is axillary nerve. Oh my gosh, very important place. One thing you have to be aware is there is deltoid covering quadrilateral space. Thus, it's a little bit hard to feel this space compared to this triangular space, but it's practice. You need practice to palpate quadrilateral space. However, midline of triceps brachii is kind of good way to palpate radial nerve and axillary nerve. You just follow here and go up, 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 and now you are on radial nerve or axillary nerve. In today's video, I explained basic anatomy of triceps brachii. I explained its origin, insertion, function. Now at last, I explained relationship between triceps brachii, and nervous tissues. If you liked today's video, please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. See you next video.